Hello, my name is Emma Tobias, and in the 4+ years I have been making booktube videos, I have never made a designated books I don't like video, unpopular bookish opinions video, etc., what have you. And I thought in 2018 I would embrace the shade and make that video. Disclaimer time, obviously you can like these books, that's okay, we can have differing opinions, that's how life is. So yeah, you can tell me why you like the book, that's fine, but I want you to know that I'm not attacking anyone. I'm just stating my opinion, which happens to be an opinion that's overall negative about these books. Also, another disclaimer, I read a lot of these books a long time ago, so I might not remember any super concrete reasons why I don't like them. This could be a crap video, it probably will be, but let's get started. So the first video, and I'm on my Goodreads account because I do not keep books that I don't like, so I don't own any of these books anymore. But I'm looking at my Goodreads account at my lowest starred books, and we'll see what treasures await. Oh, the first book on here is Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham. My most watched video is my review of this book from about 3 years ago. I don't like that book. I don't really like Lena Dunham, so therefore I didn't really like the book. At the time though, I did like Lena Dunham. I thought she was interesting. But reading the book completely changed my opinion of her, and that opinion stands today, and it's probably actually gotten worse. If you want to know my concrete thoughts about that book, you can watch a super cringe video that's on the internet that is on my channel. I don't feel like linking it. But basically, I didn't like this book because I thought it was just sort of a self-obsessed diatribe about Lena Dunham's life in a way that felt like it had no purpose, only for Lena Dunham to toot her own horn and talk about her white feminism, so... Next book, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I don't enjoy E. Lockhart books very much. I know some people really like them, but I think, read 3 of her books through the years, and I don't really like any of them, but I hated We Were Liars. I checked it out from the library, and I read it in a day, and there's that big old, ooh, twist, whatever, spoiler. I feel like I can say that now because it's years and years later. But I just thought it was really silly. I remember reading it and being like, okay, really? I just spent 100 or so pages, it's not a long book, I will say, 100 or so pages reading this and finding out this thing, and I was just like, this is really, I don't know. No. Not a fan. Next we have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Don't like Wuthering Heights because I really hate Heathcliff, and I think he is an abusive ass. So, next we have a book called The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is a well-beloved book by a lot of people who I really respect and admire, and it's a book that a lot of people really like, but I really remember hating this book. I think I mostly hated it because I thought the plot was super confusing. There were so many things going on. I didn't enjoy the tropey male lead character. I hated the romance. I thought it was needless, and I had to literally draw out a diagram to figure out what was going on in terms of the plot and the characters, and there's aliens in it, but it's also sort of they're vampire aliens. That's the kind of the general gist of the vibe that I got from this book. I just really didn't like it, and I sort of laughed my way through it because I didn't like it that much. I can see the elements that are good in this book. I think it's really interesting world building, but it's world building that felt incredibly clunky to me. So not a fan of The Bone Season. Although maybe if I reread it, I read it 5 or 6 years ago, I would like it, but then again, probably not. Next book we have on here is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin, another book that's beloved by a lot of booktubers. I thought this book was really boring, and I remember thinking it was overly cutesy, and I read chick lit and romance, but I remember thinking it was overly twee and cute and Wes Anderson-y without all the grit to Wes Anderson. I know I just said those words, but Wes Anderson has a little bit of grit to it. I thought it was just so predictably boring and, yeah, pandering at times. Again, my personal opinion, but not a fan of The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. Next we have Cinder by Marissa Meyer. My qualm with this book is that I figured out the spoiler 30 pages in, and then I was like, nope. I don't care anymore. I also don't super love this genre. I don't like fairy tale retelling, so I was bound not to like it from the first page. But I remember really not liking it, and I got a text message. Next book we have is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I made a review of this book a few years ago. Oh my god, I just like this book so much. That's another review you can find out in the universe. I thought it was so, like, goofy, and every trope imaginable was put into this book, and I just hated all the characters, and I remember describing it as like a bad, like, rip-off of Thor, because the two brothers reminded me so much of Thor and Loki. Lots of other things were happening. The same kind of problem that I had with the Bone Season is the same kind of problem I had with Red Queen in terms of world building. I thought they were both really clunky and confusing. Next, we have, oh man, we have Today Will Be Different by Maria Semple. I talked about this book fairly recently. I hated the main character. I hated her so much. She was very privileged in a way that was like, I can get away with whatever I want because I'm quirky, and because I'm a cool quirky lady who's an artist, so I can say like kind of horrible crap because I'm quirky, and I'm struggling to figure out who I am, and I'm in my 40s, and I'm having a midlife crisis. Didn't like it. And then the final book I want to talk about is a book I still own because I don't hate it. I have very mixed feelings about it, and that's Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. I read this book with Mike from Slice of Mike a couple years ago, and I have never been more confused by a book in terms of my feelings than ever before. I really liked the first half of this book, and I was utterly confused the second half, and I felt like very raw while reading this book, and it's a book that I still think about because it's a book that has left me baffled. I never rated it, because that's how I felt. Similarly, I felt the same way about The Diary of a Teenage Girl, which I read with Emma from Drinking on My Shelf earlier last year in January. Two books that I have very confused feelings about. Confusion. Some honorable mentions include Born Wicked by Jessica Spotswood. Don't remember why I didn't like it, but didn't like it. We have The Last Sister, which is a local novel that I really hate, but no one knows what it is, so I'm not going to talk about it. The Chemistry of Death, Simon Beckery, which I read for a class and hated it. It was like a murder mystery novel. And, and The Boyfriend List by E. Lockhart, and Delirium by Lauren Oliver, the first book that I read that I truly despise because of a line about how the girl takes her clothes off and she looks like the moonlight when she's naked or something, and I remember being like, okay, that's really silly. Anyway, that is my list of books that I didn't like. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, I don't know. This is a long awaited video in terms of my personal life. Alright, have a nice day.